Hey everyone, today it's the session number 10 of the Let's Build, and we're going to make a quest system. So the goal is to have a place where you can look at your current quest and make a system with the damageable objects, so that when you break some objects, then it completes the quest. And let's say it's like you have to destroy 10 boxes, and then you can see the status of the quest on that terminal, like at that specific point. So I guess we can start. Let's look at we're going to start with the environment. So I'm just going to use some props, sci-fi. Maybe we can use that one. And the goal is that when the player reaches that area, then we can show the UI. So yeah, this is, maybe we can start with that. So just show the UI container when the player approaches that computer. So let's, to detect the player, we're going to use a trigger. So I can place my trigger right here. And I want to detect when the player enters that trigger. I'm going to make a client context because I don't think I need to be synchronized with the server. So I'm just going to make a client context with the trigger inside. And be careful when you're using a trigger in a client context, you have to force on the game collision, else the trigger is not going to detect the player. And then I'm going to use the script generator to make trigger overlap script. Create new script, and this is the computer trigger. And I'm going to add the script as a child of the trigger. So now here, that script, it's getting the trigger. I like to use uppercase for that kind of values. So I'm looking at the parent of the script, and then I just want the begin and end overlap. I don't need the uninteracted, because the uninteracted is when the player, like if you check here the interactable, that it's when the player press F in front of the trigger. So let's start with that script, and we're going to see if everything is working properly. So there is first error because I forgot to replace the name of the trigger at the bottom. So now when I arrive here, you see that it's written begin trigger overlap and end trigger overlap. So now we know when we have to show and hide the object. I'm just going to place that with Control G. I'm making a new group. That's the computer. And I'm going to move that over here. So yeah, so now we have that. And now when the player steps on the trigger, we want to show a UI, but not a UI on the screen. We want a 3D UI here on the the computer. So I'm going to make a new UI container, and I'm going to, maybe first we can just set an image that will take all the area of the UI container. So right now it's just an image that is taking the full width and height of the UI. But then I'm going to use the screen space. So I'm going to disable the is screen space. And now you see that our UI is in the world. So let's add UI text. So maybe we can show quests at the top. This will be black, and let's pick a font, maybe that one. I'm going to center the text at the top center. And I think I'm going to make a panel. Well, right now we can just keep that. And I'm going to change the size. So we can go with 0.5. Maybe even less than that. And I'm going to place that UI in front of the computer. All right. So the goal of that UI container is to show the current quest of the player. Maybe I can increase the size here of the text. And I'm going to increase the size of the box. So let's use screen space, and I'm going to change the width here. Maybe I can inherit the width and increase the 8 here. And so when we are not in screen space, I have to change the size of the canvas. Well, I think it's great like that. Let's just set the visibility to force off. And I'm going to change the opacity of that UI container in my script. So in that script, I'm just giving the UI container. And now I can say that I can get the container in my script. So here I'm getting the custom property of the UI container. And I want to say that instead of just showing something with the begin trigger overlap, I want to set the visibility to visibility inherit. And when the player goes out, I want to change the visibility to force off. So inherit will inherit the visibility from the parent, which is the client context. So it's also inheriting, so it will just show that object. So now when I go in front, you see that the quests are shown in front of the player. Maybe that's it's a bit blurry. So to fix that, I think we can change the size of the canvas. And let's show it. Yeah, and now if we reduce the size of the canvas, it should be a bit better. No, I don't think that's the best way to do that. Let's get back to the size of 1. And I'm going to use a panel. So let's make a UI panel, which will be the quests. And I want to put that inside. And that quest container, like that panel, I want that to be centered in the middle center of the screen. Let's see if it's a bit better. So let's just place that. So this is the background. And this is the quest text. All right. So now if I try to place that in the world space, yeah, that's better. You see that it's not blurry anymore. And now I can change the size. maybe even more. Is it changing the? No, you see that it's not changing the size of the text, even if I reduce the canvas size here. So I'm just going to reduce the size, and let's reduce again, 0.25. Yeah, I think it's great like that. So it's a bit stretched. Let's adjust that. Yeah, so I should keep the scale the same. I will just change the size of the canvas if I want to change the size. And yeah, now it's way better. So now we can see the quest of the player. And the quest, it will just be, I guess, the a description. So let's call that quest description. So it can be break 10 crates. And then just under, I will just add progress bar with the current progress of the mission. Oops. Right. So now we have this progress bar with the quest, and here we have the progress of the bar. So you see that here it's white. I will turn that to green, and yeah, let's change that to maybe a gray. All right, and I think we can maybe use a texture here to have something more sci-fi, or maybe just some circle, so that, yeah, maybe it's a bit better. So you see that here you can change the fill image to based on what you need. And yeah, what I was looking for is maybe I should type tile. Yes. So yeah, we have some texture, but yeah, it's a bit stretched. So I think we're going to keep the circle. All right, and this is the quest progress bar. So it will start at 0 and then increase whenever the player increases the breaks a crate. So I think we're going to use resources to do that. So now first let's set that to not screen space, so we can see the UI here now in the world. And maybe we can, I don't know if, yeah, I guess we're just going to turn that off, so that now when we go in front we can see where is the quest. Just remove here because it's only one quest. And now we're going to make the system to know when the player breaks a crate. So we're going to use the damageable crate here that we already used in the first tutorial, in the first Let's Build session. So I'm just going to place them here. Maybe before that, I will just make one crate. So let's say that's the quest crate. Let's make a new template from this. And I'm going to make a new script in that crate so that when it gets destroyed, then I want to give a resources to the player. Crate destroy. So the object that I want to check if it's destroyed is the parent. So the object is script.parent. Now the object is the quest crate. And now I can say that when the died event, so because it's a damageable object, if we go in the core API, we can see that damageable objects have an event called died event that is fired when the object dies. So let's connect a function, and that function receives the object that has just been destroyed. And here, let's just print destroyed right now. So I think in the died event, we receive also the damage, and you will see why it's important. And let's give a weapon to the player. I don't know if the axe is destroying the crates. Let's see. Yes, it's working. And you see that now in the event log, it's written destroyed. So I'm just going to increase the attack. I think we have some damage. Where are the damage? Should be in that script. Melee attack. Let's search for damage. Oh, here we have the ability info.damage, and that ability info is the custom property called damage. I haven't seen that. Oh, in the ability attack. Here we have the damage. So let's set the damage to 100. And I'm going to change the HP of the grade to 102. All right. So now the axe should one-shot the crate. Nice. So now I can break that kind of crate, and I know when it's destroyed. And thanks to that damage object, I can get the player. So if we look at the documentation, this is an object of type damage, and in the damage, you can see that there is a source player, and it's a reference to the player that just damaged the crate. So if there is no player, then return. Maybe the damage, like the object was destroyed because of an explosion, so it's not based on a player. So I just want to know when the player is destroying that object. And when it's destroyed, I want to add a resource called crates. Yeah, maybe just crates destroyed. And I'm going to add one to that that resource that I'm calling crates destroyed. So it's just a count of how many resources, like how many crates have been destroyed. And yeah, I guess we can let's open the client. And here, right now, just for the debug, we're going to have a tick function that is looking at the resource of the current player. So when you're in the client context, you can get the player using get local player. So this is a reference to the current player working, like currently playing on that at that game. So here in the tick, I can print player get resource crate destroyed, and this will just show, and I can, for example, wait for 1 second to. So the tick is called at each frame, but if I use the task.wait1, then it will wait 1 second before showing that number. So when I start, you see that it's written 0 in the event log. And if I break it, now it's 1. So now I know when, like how many crates has been destroyed. And this is not really efficient because I'm checking every second if a new crate has been destroyed. There is a better way to do that, to update the progress bar. So we're going to, so this is just the thing to show and hide the container, the UI container. I'm going to make a new script to control that UI. So let's call that the quest client. And that quest client, it's going to detect when the player has a new resource. So there is an event in the player object. If we look here, player, there is an event to detect when a new resource has been added. So it's called the resource changed event. And you get the player, the resource type, and the new amount. So let's connect on resource changed. We get the player, the resource type, and the new amount. So if the type is not crate destroyed, then I want to do nothing. I want to return because I don't want to do something if that happens. And then I can have here the number crates in quest. Oops, lolka. Local. So NB crates in quest. It's the number of crates I have to break in my quest. And now, thanks to that new amount, I can print the new amount, and I'm also going to print new amount divided by number of crates. So let's check if this is working. I'm just going to add more crates like that. So I'm going to create a new template from this. Let's remove the old one. And so this is the crate that we have to break. So now when I break, you see that in the event log, I can see so the new amount of crates, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here I have the percentage of the progress bar. So this is the value I want to give to my my progress bar. Here there is a progress properties. That's a value between 0 and 1. And so this is where, like when a new crate is broken, this is where I want to update the status of that progress bar. So let's get that progress bar here. And here I'm going to set the progress. I think this is the name of that value, but let's check UI progress bar. And you see that here we have the progress. That's a number between 0 and 1. And you can read and write that value. So that progress will be new amount divided by the number of crates in the quest. So now if I check here, the quest is at 0. If I break one crate, then it's at 10%. And so if I break 4 of them, now I'm at 50%. And yeah, that's working. There is a question in the chat: if the player leaves the game and returns, the counter starts again at 0. That's right. If I come back here and look, you see that the counter is back to 0. We can make a small script right now that is going to save that. So let's make a new script that's called save quest progress. And in that script, I want to detect when the player leave. So player left event. I get the player. And so when the player leaves, I want to store that value in the data. So let's get the storage for that player. Get player data p. So this is a way to get the table that is storing all the data for that player. And then I want to save the crate destroyed. And the value is player get resource crates destroyed. So here I'm getting the amount of crates that has been destroyed. I can save all 0 so that if the player destroyed nothing, then this is nil. So it will replace everything with the value 0. And now that the table is changed, I can now set player data of player P, and I give the new table. So now when I leave, when the player leaves, I get the data, I set the number of crates destroyed to the amount of that resource, and I set the player data. And now let's say that when the player joins, I can have kind of the same function. So I want to get that table that I just saved, and I want to say that I want to get the amount. So it's data.crates destroyed or 0. So here, because I saved that in the data.crates destroyed, if I want to get that value, I do the same. And then I have also the or0. This is if, for example, if it's the first time that a player joins your game, then the data will be empty. So you need to have a default value here, else it will break your game. And now that I have that amount of crates destroyed, I can set the resource crate destroyed back to that number. So the resource and the storage are two totally different things. If you're not saving that resource and then applying back again when the player joins, it won't be saved between 2 sessions. So that's great. I think it will work because so that set resource, this should call that event because a resource has been changed. So the progress bar should be at the right amount. And I forgot to enable the storage. No, the data is saved on the server of Manticore, so it's you don't have access of that. It's saved on the server. So here I'm at 0. If I break 2 of them, I'm at 20%. Now if I leave and I get back, you see that I'm still at 20%. So I can still break my crate, and now I'm at 50%. So yeah, that's great. We have a first system that's showing the quest. Maybe we can give a reward to the player when he reaches 10. So let's add more crates around here. Because right now when you reach 10, then it's just saying that yeah, you just achieved it. But if I break other, it's not going back to 0. So first, what should we do? Well, maybe we can say that we should have something to say that I want to start the quest. So let's do that. Let's say that when the player is in front of the computer, he can press a key to accept a quest. So by default, we're going to hide the progress bar. So we're going to set the visibility to force off. So now when the player comes in front of the, oops, there is an issue. Oh, it's not progress, it's just progress bar dot visibility. So now when the player comes in front of the quest, it's just saying break 10 crates. And I want the player to press F to accept that, that quest. How can we do that? Are we making a new trigger for that? On quest complete you get a gun, and then on page 2 quest you shoot crates. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Like if at the beginning you have only crates on the ground, so you can just get 10 out of them, and then you can put crates on the sky, and because you get the gun. So maybe that could be the reward. But yeah, first I need a system to say that the player has started the quest, the player is doing the quest right now, and then the player has completed the quest. Because when he has completed the quest, then I want to give the weapon to the player at that moment. So how to start a quest? Maybe we can have a trigger next to the... So this is the trigger to hide and show. I just want to try something. If the trigger is interactable, yeah, so it's still showing the on begin and end overlap. And so, yeah, I think this can be what I need. So when I press F, I'm accepting the quest. I'm just going to set the interaction label to accept quest. So by default, when the player is here, you see that you have the F to accept quest. And when I press F, I want to show the progress bar. And I want to start the quest. So we're going to keep the logic of the trigger in the computer trigger. So here I want to, so it's the interact event. Is it interact or interacted? Yeah, interacted event connect, interacted event. So on interact. And then here I'm going to make the function on interact with the trigger and the player. And so on interact, first I want to disable the interactable is interactable. I think it's that property. If we look back at the trigger, so I want the player to avoid clicking twice on the trigger. So here you have that is interactable. So I'm just going to set that to false, so that now if I come next to the computer, if I press F, you see that now it's not shown anymore that I can accept the quest, because the quest has just been accepted. And I'm going to broadcast an event called start quest. And thanks to that broadcast, I'm going to let, like the other script will knows that a quest has just started. So now in the quest client, so on the UI aspect, I can have this events.connect start quest, and that function is going to set the visibility of the progress bar to inherit. So now when the player is next to the trigger and he presses F, then the trigger is not interactable, and the start quest and the progress bar is visible thanks to the start quest event. Now maybe, so this is the visual aspect of the game. Maybe I want another, well, let's have everything in the quest client. So here I'm increasing so I'm moving the progress bar every time there is a new amount of crates. But first I have to check that if the new amount is more or equal to the number of crates in the quest, then I should not, well, if it's more, no, if it's more equal, yes. So first I will just update that. And so if the amount is more than the number of crates or equal, so if it's 10, then I want to stop the quest. So, or maybe I can also broadcast. Let's broadcast an event that is called stop quest. So here, when I reach that that amount of crates, I want to broadcast that event. And so when the quest is completed, maybe completed quest is better. So when the quest is completed, then I want to set the trigger back to interactable. So let's connect an event completed quest. Maybe quest completed on quest completed. So when the quest is completed, then I want to set the interact back to true. And maybe I can change the text. So to get the reward, the player will have to interact with the trigger. So you see that here you can change also the interaction label. So I'm going to set the interaction label to get reward. Yep, I think that's great like that. So I'm going to have the state of the quest. I don't really know where to handle that. We don't really have time to make a great API that's well designed for that. Because the issue I have here is that if the player is using the get reward, it will just start the quest. Maybe I can just look at the interaction label. That's not the best way to do that, but it will do the job. So if it's accept quest, then I want to set interactable to false and broadcast the start quest, and then just return. So I just want to stop that function here. And if the interaction label is get reward, then I'm just going to print give gun right now and set the interaction label back to accept quest. And also I'm going to, I should remove the, I should do that on the server side. That's not really safe because here the fact that the quest can be completed on the client side, then some cheaters can maybe force that condition and they can get that. I think we're going to kind of change the system to use the server at one point. There is a small issue here. So it's not which trigger, it's that specific trigger that I want to set interactable true and get reward. All right, so right now, if I go next to that, it's written get reward. So it seems that that event is called. Oh yeah, because the amount is already more than the quest. Maybe right now we can remove that just for our test. We're going to start at 0 every time. So here I can accept the quest. Now I have the progress bar on the UI. If I break some crates, then it goes on, it increases. And when I reach 10, if I get back here, you see that now I can get reward. And if I press F, in the event log, I have the give gun, and I can now accept a new quest. You see that the resources, it's still at 10 crates. Like I still have all the crates on the player because I should just remove the resource when the quest is done. So yeah, this is why this trigger should be on the server side. Or maybe the get reward can just broadcast an event to the server. So now I can add a new first. So this is the axe, and I'm just going to clean the hierarchy a bit. I'm going to place that in a group called crate. So I have the save quest progress. Maybe this can just be like a quest server. And so now I'm just going to say that I want to check when a player is sending the get a reward. So because I'm using connect for player here on the server side, I can here receive the reference to the player. You can't do that here because this is just event that you broadcast in the same context, so the client context. But when I'm using the broadcast to server, then like this is sending the info through the network to the server, and so I can get here the player. So if the resource crates destroyed is more than 10, then it's a success. So I can set, I can remove, let's set back to 0. So set resource crate destroy to 0. So it will just remove all the resource. And this is where I can spawn the gun for the player. So let's pick rifle. No, this is not, it's just a prop. It's not what I want. Advanced. it's just not loaded. Let's do the crossbow. So I want to give the crossbow to the player. I'm going to make a new template from that. And now I can get the asset reference of that object because I want to spawn that object in my script. So let's get that object here, crossbow. And so here, when I remove the resources, I want to spawn a new asset. So world.spawn asset crossbow. And then I will equip the object to the player so that the player will get the crossbow in his hands. And yeah, this should work. Let's try. So let's start the quest. Get reward and nice. Now I have the crossbow, and so I still have the. You can see that I still have the ability of the axe because it's an equipment and a weapon. So first I should try to remove the equipment of the player. So we already made that kind of function, but remove equipment at socket. So we're going to give a player and a socket. And let's remove an equipment in the socket right prop. So this is the name of the right hand of the player. And I will go through all the equipment. If we look in the documentation, there is something called get equipment. And here, get equipment. So here I have all the equipment. And then I can say that if the socket of the object is the socket that I'm looking for, then I want to destroy the object. So let's see if it's working right now. Oh, I forgot to accept the quest. So you see that when I accept the quest, if I broke some crates before, then it's still at the number of crates I had at the beginning. Nice. So now it's working, and now I can access some crates that are maybe in the sky. So if I duplicate the crates and move them here, once I completed the quest, I can break those crates. And that's a great idea, Barge. I like that one. So yeah, there is a request. So first, when I accept the quest, I want to set the resource back to 0. So let's have this connect for player start quest. So I'm doing that on that quest server. Let me just rename the script so that it's maybe a bit easier. So we have the quest client and the quest server. I'm doing that on the server because you can't remove resources or add resources from the client to avoid cheaters. So here when I start the quest, I want to set the resource to 0. And so let's say that now instead of just broadcasting to the current context, I also want to broadcast to server start quest. And now it will reset the current crates. So you see that now if I break some crates, I come here and I accept the quest. The counter starts at 0 because the resource is resetted at 0 every time the player starts the quest. And so here we have the get reward. And yeah, so something asked in the chat is to show the number of crates that has been destroyed. So here show like 2 out of 10s. I think the progress bar has something that can help us on that. So if we look at the progress bar, I thought there was a text inside, but we're going to just add a new text. That's the progress text. As always, I'm inheriting width and height from parent. I want to set that in the middle center of the screen. And I want the justification to be center and center. So now if I type to 10, you see that now it's in the middle. Let's just get the same font so that it's a bit better for the player, and we're going to change the size. It's great to always keep the same size, or at least have 2 or 3 sizes of fonts in your game. That's a great way to have a professional looking UI. If you have a lot of different size of UI of font in your UI, it's not really professional. So I would advise you to keep 2 or 3 different size. So here this is 40 and 40. And now so we have the progress bar, and I'm going to have the progress text. I'm not going to use custom property. Even if I could, like I could just click on Quest Client and drag the progress text here. I'm going to use another method. So from the progress bar that we have, so from that element, we can find the elements that are the children of that. And so I'm going to use the find child by type UI text. And so this will give a reference to that progress text. And so now that I have that object, I can set the text to new amount / nb total nb crates in quest. So this is how you can concatenate different strings. And yeah, let's see if this is working. So if I pick it 0 out of 10, and if I break some crates, let's go full screen, then it's 3 out of 10. Eight. Now we have 10. Something that is also a bug in our game is that if we get back, you see that now it's 11 out of 10. So I should find a way to just say that the maximal value is 10. Then I get the reward. So now I can shoot more crates, and you see that the counter is back to 0. Oops. Something happens. Oh yeah, because I didn't accepted the quest, so it just I pressed F and it got back to 0. So first let's change. So in the UI here, you see that I'm giving the new amount, but I want a value that is like if it's 11, I want that to be 10 and not 11 because that is 10. There is a function called, I think it's mat.min, and then you give 2 values, and it will give you the value that is the like less than the other one. So if I make some test here, let's do a test with, so this is 10, 3. Maybe we have 10, 10 and 10, 11. And so it should print 3, then 10, and then 10 again, because the minimum value between 10 and 11 is 10. And you see that now in the event log, it's like 3, 10, and 10. So thanks to that mat.min, now it will always print at least 10, like the max value of that quest. All right, I would really like to, yeah, time is over. Maybe in the next session, I could show like how we can make different types of quests, because right now it's just like breaking crates, but with data folders, we could have different types of quests and have a random value here. Maybe like this won't be in the Let's Build session, but yeah, I should find a way to show you how we can get further with that system. And yeah, there was just a small bug that I want just to check. So the start quest is called when I interact if the interaction label is accept quest. So I guess I'm not hiding the break 10 crates. So here the visibility is off, and yeah. So when the player gets the reward, so here when he accepts the rewards, I also want to broadcast that locally. And when I have the get reward, then I want to force off. And now it should work as expected. So right now there is no quest started. If I break one, then it goes back to 0. If I break 10, well, here I have 5. Found a glitch. You can break two crates at the same time. So here I have 10 on 10 crates. If I break this one, it's still 10 because we use the mat.min function. When I get the reward, now it's hidden. If I break some crates, nothing is done because I haven't accepted the quest yet. And when I accept the quest, I start at 0. And yeah, the system is working. So it's not well optimized, I would say, and it's not like everything is a bit mixed. And yeah, we should have something that is just handling all the quests for each player, and something that is just handling the UI and the interface. Right now, everything is a bit mixed in that quest client and quest server, and we are not saving the quest. Maybe that could be great to know if the quest has been started or not. But this can be here. So when there is the start quest, maybe here we can save that server user data dot quest started equals true, and when he gets the reward, then maybe just quest ongoing. And yeah, then you can maybe try to store that. So here we can say that quest ongoing equals player.serverUserData.quest ongoing. So this is just a table that is stored in the player. So you can, if you have the player, then you can access to that table only on the server side. And now, yeah, when the player connects, I can print if, let's just print quest ongoing. So right now, when I start, it's nil because there is no quest. If I get back, it's still nil. If I start the quest and start breaking some crates, Now if I get back, you see that now it's true, so there is a quest ongoing, but it's not working yet because we haven't linked like we should send that info to the player so that the player can set the progress bar to visible and just enable the like do that is interactable false and start the quest. But yeah, that's it for that session. So yeah, we made 3 scripts, one to handle the quest on the server side. We have the trigger that is that small computer with the UI, and then we have the thing that is changing the UI, so setting the progress bars to visibility force off and on, and also changing the text here. So yeah, to extend the system, we could have that value in another script to have a description of what is the quest, with the description of the quest and what's the winning condition, so how many resources you should have. And then instead of just looking at that specific resource, then we could use that other script to know which resource is linked to that specific quest. And yeah, then you would have a system that is working with a lot of different quests. You could even have other type of quests, maybe not based on resource, but based on the number of player that has been killed, for example. So yeah, that's just a base, but you can maybe start from that and try to understand how it's connected. But yeah, just want to warn you that in 1 hour we can't really make a system that's scalable. So this was just a way to show you some useful stuff. But if you want that kind of system for your game, I would advise to maybe rethink and to think about something bigger that can work with different type of quests. All right, maybe some last questions in the chat. All right, it seems that you enjoyed it, so thank you for following that Let's Build session, and I will see you next week for the session number 11 of the Let's Build. And everything is available in the forum tomorrow if you're watching that live, or yeah, if you go on forums.coregames.com, you will have the template and the time code of each section. All right, thank you, and see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow, not next week. Next week.